You have two options. Sell this crumbling old shack to the homeowners association, or watch me torch it to ashes. The HOA attorney's words sliced through the quiet of the cabin like a razor, each one laced with pure malice. Victoria Langford stood right next to him, arms folded tight, her impeccably polished nails tapping against her high-end jacket in that smug rhythm of someone who'd never tasted defeat. I just grinned, keeping my mouth shut, because I still held the one card that could shatter their whole rotten kingdom. I slid a single sheet of paper across my grandfather's weathered pine table toward them. Victoria bent down to read it, and in that split second, her face drained of color, pale as a winter dawn. A moment later, her hands started shaking not from a threat, but from the raw truth she'd buried for years. Now, it was my turn to call the shots. It all kicked off about 8 months back when I inherited this waterfront cabin from my grandfather, Elias. At 45, I figured I'd moved past the enchantment of this spot. But stepping through that spruce door flooded me with memories of every boyhood summer here. The scent of fir and aged varnish. The morning sun shimmering on the water through those huge panes. The soft groan of floorboards that had borne 4 generations of Harrington men. This wasn't merely a cabin. It was where Grandpa Elias had first shown me how to sketch building designs. Where he taught me that structures weren't just bricks and beams, they were tales begging to be shared. Every timber, every nail, every stone in the base carried irreplaceable echoes no fortune could buy. The cabin perched like a gem on 3 acres of untouched shorefront at Willow Creek Reservoir in Montana. Its hand-hewn logs had aged to a warm amber glow that caught the evening light perfectly. Grandpa had turned the attic into a full-fledged design studio, with drafting boards, plan cabinets, and windows angled for ideal northern illumination. It was the dream workspace I'd craved since ditching my corporate gig in Seattle. Records dated it to 1948, long before the Willow Creek Shores HOA formed, which should have exempted it from their grip entirely. But Victoria Langford had her own agenda. Barely a month after I settled in, the citations piled up like clockwork. My fence was 8 inches too high per community guidelines. The natural spruce siding clashed with their approved shades. My SUV got tagged as a utility vehicle breaching parking rules. 15 bogus notices in 10 days, each with fines that'd make a loan shark envious. When I rang the HOA office to fight them, Victoria's syrupy tone dripped over the line. Standards are standards, Mr. Harrington, and exemptions don't apply in a proper neighborhood. That's when I delved into the property files, and what I unearthed chilled me to the bone. The papers Grandpa left in his ancient safe spun a tale worlds apart from Victoria's spin. Not only was the cabin beyond HOA reach, but Grandpa had foreseen this showdown. Nestled among the deed and maps was a handwritten note that made my pulse race. "Alex," it started in his steady script. "If this finds you, she's returned. The cabin guards a secret she'd kill to silence. Stay vigilant, but stand firm. The facts have waited too long." The letter spilled details an old-timer shouldn't have known. Victoria's ties to the land, her links to past owners, and his grim certainty she'd strike with full force. He'd tucked in unfamiliar blueprints revealing hidden compartments I never knew existed. At the end, in bold ink, "When it hits, inspect the base. Some truths can't remain entombed forever." I spent that night sifting through every scrap, every diagram. It dawned on me this went beyond rules and regs. This was deeply personal. Victoria Langford's history with the cabin ran darker than petty politics, and Grandpa had devoted his twilight years gearing up for the reckoning. Now, facing her in that cabin, watching her expression twist from stunned to terrified to furious as she glared at the paper, I sensed Grandpa's ultimate lesson unfolding. The attorney, Harlan Voss, was already grabbing his satchel, no doubt prepping more legal muscle. But I had the unexpected, the unvarnished truth. After 18 years in shadows, it was time for daylight. The sheet was just the open-era thread that, once yanked, would unravel Victoria's entire web. As she met my eyes with a stare that could melt iron, I realized Grandpa's note wasn't mere caution. It was a strategy for war. And the battle for this cabin was igniting. The cellar had been forbidden territory growing up. Grandpa Elias would distract me with hiking or drafting sessions whenever I poked at the bolted door by the boiler. Now, blueprints and pry bar in hand, I grasped why. The concealed chamber opened like a grave eager to confess. Dust-caked surgical gear from the 90s lined a wall, thick enough to etch your initials. But the dark blots on the cement floor twisted my gut stains like old blood, scoured yet indelible. This wasn't storage, it was a preserved atrocity. Over the next 4 days, I pieced together Grandpa's clues and files. The mosaic was no mere land squabble. Records showed Victoria hadn't always ruled the HOA with an iron grip. 18 years ago, she'd wed Harlan Langford, who held this cabin from 2005 to 2007. Harlan vanished without trace in the fall of 2007, leaving a devastated widow to inherit his hefty holdings and oddly persuade the locals that my grandfather was the ideal buyer for the jinxed spot. The deal was suspiciously cheap, like she craved a quick, quiet exit. While I puzzled this out, Victoria ramped up her mind games. She swayed neighbors into thinking I was unhinged, reeling from Grandpa's passing and clinging irrationally to a wreck. The corner store clerk awkwardly mentioned her tales of my fixation on a doomed building. She pushed the haunted cabin myth harder, warning it cursed owners and tanked values community-wide. It was slick manipulation, weaponizing folks' wallet worries while posing as the sane one. But she overlooked Mrs. Eleanor Whitaker, the 82-year-old former librarian next door, who'd eyed the cabin's comings and goings for 45 years. Her recall was sharp as a tack from decades logging facts. When I showed up with fresh-baked pie and subtle queries, she brewed tea and shredded Victoria's fabrications. No curse, she stated flatly, facts over fable. That's Victoria's yarn to mask the mishaps trailing her. Her bombshell hit on Harlan's vanishing autumn. Awakened at 1 a.m. by yells from the cabin, then thuds like heavy dragging. From her window, she spied Victoria's Jeep shuttling tarp-wrapped bulks to the reservoir multiple times. Next day, Victoria claimed Harlan bolted on urgent work, dumping junk. Come spring, Eleanor found hefty sacks of quicklime in the wood stuff for building or, as her builder hubby noted, hastening decay. Victoria brushed it off as garden aid, but Eleanor knew better. Bolstered, I contacted Sophia Caldwell, a land rights attorney from Billings specializing in HOA overreach. She drove out intrigued, and within hours poring over Grandpa's stash, affirmed the cabin's immunity and Victoria's antics as legal torment. Her dig on Victoria froze my veins. Harlan wasn't her first mysteriously deceased spouse. 3 before him, one in a boating mishap in 1992 yielding insurance, another in a home tumble in 2000 with bigger bucks. By Harlan in 2004, payouts hit millions, all deemed accidents by lax probes missing the pattern. A lesson in calculated patience, spacing years, playing the widow flawlessly. Did Grandpa know buying in? Rereading his note, hints of safeguarded proof and delayed justice suggested he'd entered eyes open, guarding something vital. The cabin wasn't inheritancy, it was duty to conclude his vigil. That clarity struck in the secret cellar, eyeing gear and Staines narrating an 18-year saga. Blueprints showed one last hideaway, a walled vault needing heavy digging. Grandpa's scribbles called it the endgame piece. As I hefted a sledge from Eleanor's shed, I felt unearthing it would upend this serene reservoir town. The hammer crashed like a storm, debris flying. For hours exposed a steel hatch with hazard marks and a vault lock. The combo clicked, Grandpa's birthdate reversed, his go-to for treasures. Inside buckled my knees. Harlan Langford's bones, wedding band matching old pics, posed for eventual find. But the shocker? A waterproofed phone by the skeleton. Battery dead, but data card whole. Charging it via Grandpa's old kit, the last voicemail halted my heart. Harlan's panic echoed. Victoria, what's that for? Drop it. You're mad. You can't know. Timestamp. 10:32 p.m., October 31st, 2007 Halloween. Same night Eleanor heard chaos and saw lake runs. Ryan Fletcher rolled up fast after my urgent call. The PI had chased cold cases 2 decades, including Harlan's in 2007 before brass yanked him. His lined face spoke of buried wrongs. Playing the message, his jaw clenched like completing a haunting riddle. He'd pegged Victoria early, but her alibi was ironclad. A gala with 150 eyes when Harlan split. His old files detailed her prep. Months seeding tales of Harlan's overseas gigs, faked emails from sham firms. Gala sightings crafted an impossibility window. But Ryan spotted the crack. Dash cam from a marina 15 miles out showed her Jeep gassing at 12:45 a.m. Post-event, post-voicemail enough fuel for far more than home. He'd pushed in '07, but Victoria's suit threats shut it down. As we dug, Victoria intensified. Suits lurking at boundaries snapping pics. Power flickers thrice weekly. Local shops shunning me as unstable. The strain gnawed, making me doubt diving in. In Grandpa's chair amid murder proof. Quitting tempted take her cash, vanish. But his words echoed, don't yield. The pivot? Grandpa's last boon behind a desk panel. Docs on Victoria's HOA scams. His pre-death letter detailed years collecting on her decade-plus thefts funneling dues to ghost repairs, pocketing millions. Harlan had sniffed it, probing finances pre-death, set to blow the whistle. His kill wasn't impulse. It was silencing a threat. Grandpa bought knowing, preserving the site unwittingly. The cabin, chosen as Grandpa's discreet rep, made him ideal, unwitting guardian. Now, grasping his long con, I knew I was the closer. Would I risk it, with Victoria eyeing additions to her mishap list? Victoria's in-game hit at 1 a.m. via a thug whose suit hit a killer's glint. Ms. Langford's bids $1.5 million. Cash tomorrow or this heap burns in 24 hours. Old wiring sparks easy. His hand grazed a bulge likely steel. I smirked through the mesh. Tell her my reply comes tonight. Bring Esmores. The menace confirmed, not buyout, but evidence wiped for death row stakes. Unbeknownst, I'd flipped her playbook with overlooked allies. Ryan linked me to investigator Lena Brooks, cold case ace tracking HOA deaths statewide. Sheet-eyed patterns, awaiting a breakthrough. Sophia unearthed fraud spanning 15 towns, 2 states $6M plus siphoned via shells, funding Victoria's luxury while owners bled fees. Key, my cousin Liam, a tech whiz from Bozeman U, rigged hidden cams live streaming post, 9 p.m. to multi-sites. If she torched, it'd air live. Victoria's poise cracked. Eleanor spotted her driveway staring at 4 a.m., obsessed. Queries on her funds stirred charities. She countered viciously. My brakes slashed at the diner, caught pre-drive. Fake fire tips yielding planted violations. She hired Victor Kane, demo expert, with arson raps evaded. Ryan confirmed Kane's Lake Scouts for burn optimization. That eve, amid 18-year wait, I got Grandpa's point. Fight systemic rot thriving on apathy. Victoria banked on fear silencing foes. Plan set. Cams rolling, Lena monitoring for bust signal. Ryan and Woods backing up. Sophia freezing assets on proof. Irony. Her push would doom her. The cabin she'd loathe would stage her fall. Audience her lied to masses. I passed the final quiet night at Grandpa's desk, penning my own note. The reservoir mirrored twilight, oblivious to brewing tempest. Tomorrow, truth dawned or else. The fuel rig rolled in at 3:12 a.m., faux emergency lights blinking. Victoria hopped out frenzied, polish gone. Kane and goons unpacked Inferno gear. Unseen, every step streamed to Lena's desk, archived cross-states. I hunkered in the cellar, laptop feeding views. Ryan's earpiece hummed updates. Let him incriminate deep, then snare pre-flame. But desperation twists plans and Victoria proved her depths. Alex. Her shriek boomed as she booted the door, subtlety ditched. I know you're lurking. Let's chat. Stream showed her disheveled in Grandpa's den, Kane dousing floors methodically. A tattooed brute sealed escapes. I ascended slow, cams catching all. She whirled, eyes feral. You smug sleuth, unearthing what stays down. Bravo, Alex. You dug up Harlan in my limits. The venom gushed. Harlan's embezzlement bust, his FBI threat shredding her empire. He ignored pleas, she paced, Kane working. Loans, I'd repay but self-righteous, like all controlling men. Chill. Calculated lure to cabin, makeup, meal, vet stolen sedatives and wine, basement gear for suicide stage. But Harlan recorded realizing, birthing damning proof. Your grandpa should have renovated, find the body. Sweet deal hooked him. I'd widow grieve, accusations forgotten. But the fool sanctified it. Her empire's breadth, post-cover-up, fraud bloom teaching cronies to skim trusting rich, axing snoopers. Kane awaited torch nod, but she babbled cathartically. The genius? Post tonight, your cabin curse fodder. I grinned, flashing phone, stream at thousands, climbing. Lena's inset thumbs up. Cops encircling. Beauty is, I echoed. You spilled murders, scams, my planned death recorded, beamed to agencies in 5 states. Grandpa nailed it. Secrets too massive, bury eternal. Sirens wailed as Kane fumbled lighter. Goons froze. Trap sprung. 18 years brewed. First squad screeched in. Lena's team from trees tactical sharp. Victoria amid fumes. Lies crumbled. Stream hit 1,500. Locals. Feds eyeing Empire's real-time crash. Victoria Langford. You're nicked for Harlan's murder, arson plot, theft, and 20 more brewing. Lena barked. Gun low. FBI cuffed Kane's crew swift. Twist. Under accelerant floor. Older bones Edward Hayes. Her 1992 hunting victim. Skull bash no accident. Spree deeper. Victoria shattered. Spilling victims. Networks unraveling years wide. Feds raided 15 HOAs cross states. $52 million fraud bared. Arrests rolled. She screeched at Lena in cuffs. They forced my hand. Ruin me? No choice. Ryan. From shadows. Later. Justice lags, but hits hard. Gas footage key now. Patterns linked. Sophia. Streaming remote. Sealed admissibility. Death row or life sans parole. Community erupted. Harassed spilled tales. New board transparent. Meetings streamed. Restitution hit 85%. $5M Willow alone for reforms. Victory bittersweet. Grandpa's 18-year silence preserved justice for many. Cabin. Mission fulfilled. Feds tallied $52 million recoveries, transformed lives, reclaimed homes, reborn businesses, scholarships from stolen cash. Poetic. Me? Cabin morphed to Harrington Truth Center, aiding HOA victims. Sophia relocated. We wed lakeside. Eleanor officiating gleefully. Ripples. Probes in 15 states. Congress-eyed reforms. Ryan headed HOA crime unit. Cabin. From Hex to Justice Icon Family's Point, teaching kids resist tyrants. A Reno letter sparked next. Similar HOA terror, tied shells. Work ongoing. Cabin Central. 8 months post-arrest. Billings court jammed 3 days. Jury out 2 hours. Guilty 42 counts, including 5 murders. Judge. Your evil's rare. Die caged. World safer. Sunset over Willow Creek. I stood dockside. Grandpa's fishing spot. Legacy lived. Battles loomed. Ready. Have you ever wondered if some people are born evil, or does power corrupt them beyond redemption? Would you risk everything to expose a killer hiding in plain sight, even if it meant becoming their next target? Or is it smarter to walk away and let sleeping monsters lie? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Does justice always win? Or do the Victorias of the world get away too often? Hit like if this tale fired you up, and subscribe for more real-life twists where truth triumphs.